Hey. Hey, yo. Scott Hall. Personally autographed, by the way. I got this when I donated for his hip surgery. When he was with DDP. Pretty cool, huh? Unfortunately, this pay-per-view, not as cool. Not as cool at all. God, why did I review this show? Seriously, why did I even choose this show to review? I had PWG, I had ECW One Night Stand, and I decided to choose Halloween Havoc, 1998, not 1997, which people are telling me is the superior show, quote-unquote superior. I haven't seen it before. The only thing I've seen was Eddie versus Rey Mysterio, one of my favorite matches of all time. But outside of that match, I haven't even touched the show. I should have watched that show. But I decided to go back and watch a show I've seen before. And I don't know why I chose this one. But it is Halloween season, so I guess it's appropriate. It's appropriate, guys. I tortured myself for your entertainment to do a show that's related to Halloween. Look at me. This is your boy, Alyx, man. Thank you for watching one of my retro reviews. This one was rough. It wasn't all bad. There are some good matches on here, including a really awesome main event between Goldberg and Diamond Dallas Page, which, interestingly, didn't air the night it premiered. Why is that? Apparently, the pay-per-view went over its time limit, and it got cut off the air before the main event happened. So, the people who ordered the pay-per-view didn't get a chance to see the main event. And when I tell you this main event saved the show, imagine how people felt when they watched all of this crap to not see the main event. Imagine how pissed off they were. I'm pretty sure they called it the worst pay-per-view of all time. But luckily for you guys, and luckily for WCW, I'm reviewing the show as the whole it is that I watched. So this will include the Goldberg and DDP match, and it does reflect on the grade. The grade is not very high. So if I had saw the pay-per-view that didn't include the main event, this would easily be one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. But it's not. Other than the main event, though, it's not really a show I would recommend. There are some good matches. There are some things that you could like, I guess. But it's not something I would show to someone who's watching wrestling for the first time. I probably should have watched 1997, because I haven't seen that show before. But maybe that's something I can do in the near future. So this was in Las Vegas. Commentary was, Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone, who is very underrated. Really good play-by-play commentator. Is he as good as Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross? Debatable. You can argue that in the comments. But he was really good for his time and for the job he was given. We also had Mike Tenay and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Rest in peace. So, really good commentary team. I wish we had these guys than the people we have now in WWE. At the same time, I would take anybody else besides what we got in WWE. The first match was Chris Jericho, before he was Y2J. I think he's still Lionheart Chris Jericho, taking on What About Me? What About Raven? Very underrated. I think Raven is one of those talents who is very underappreciated. Could have easily been a world champion. I think he was a world champion in ECW. Of course, without question. I'm talking about in every other promotion he worked in. But no one gave him a shot. No one gave him a shot. He had a good character. He can cut a promo. Could wrestle inside the ring. Could work a crowd. Was great at everything he did. He was a good talent. And this match with Chris Jericho was a good match. It was a good match. It was fast-paced. It was unique in its way. It did some stuff you wouldn't see a lot. Especially in wrestling matches back then. For its time back then, it was a really good match. Nowadays, it's a good match. I just feel bad that Raven never got a shot. Chris Jericho didn't get a shot either in WCW. But at least when he went to WWF, or WWE, look at what he did. Look at his career now. He's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And Raven, I feel like, could have been if people gave him more of a chance. But never happened. He did some good stuff in WCW. He had the Raven Flock with Perry Saturn. That feud with Saturn was very good. Very underrated. He did some stuff with DDP, which was good. There's a lot of good stuff with Raven that nobody talks about. So I get it. You know, it's funny that we talk about, what about me, what about Raven? There isn't a lot of people that know that during this time, he was very frustrated with WCW. He actually wanted to get out a long time before he was really released. I think he was on a losing streak during this time, too. So they were punishing him for his frustration with the company and him venting it. So the whole series of promos that he was doing, what about me, what about Raven, those are shoots. He was actually angry. He wanted to get out. He eventually did leave and go back to not WCW. Why would he go back to the company he left? ECW. But during this time, he was not happy. He still worked a good match, but you can tell he was done. He was done with the company. Chris Jericho wins. We get Ming versus Wrath. So Wrath is basically Goldberg 2.0 or 3.0. They had a lot of people they were building like Goldberg. He came in undefeated, was making a path of dead bodies in his wake. And they tried to make him a star like Goldberg. It didn't work. He was nowhere near as good as Goldberg. I didn't like Wrath. Still don't like Wrath. He ends up beating Ming in a very underwhelming, forgettable match. I didn't like it. I just thought, ugh. I'm sorry, I don't like Wrath. I know some of you do, but I don't. Next match is, oh, I like this one. So this is a #1 contendership match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Disco Inferno taking on Juventud Guerrera. So, Juventud Guerrera, you don't know this, was one of my favorite cruiserweights. Kind of still is, but back then he was one of my favorites in WCW. I feel like he should have gotten a bigger shot, a bigger chance to shine. He does eventually do some other things in the future, but I wasn't very happy with his run in WCW for the most part. I feel like they could have used him a lot more. It is what it is. There are a lot of people in WCW they could have used a lot more. Trust me. But his match with Disco Inferno was actually pretty solid. Although Disco Inferno is not a cruiserweight. Well, I guess he is because of his weight. But he didn't wrestle like a cruiserweight. He was just a character. And his matches weren't all that great. But I will say the match he had with Juventud was solid. I actually liked it. So props to him. He would go on to fight Kidman, Billy Kidman, for the Cruiserweight Championship, and lose, ultimately, in a decent match. That match wasn't as good as the one with Juventud, but pretty decent. Pretty decent. I haven't heard about Disco Inferno ever since his run in WCW. Is he even alive? Seriously, is he even alive? I don't know. Maybe he is. But, yeah, there you go. We had Finley. My name is Finley, and I love to fight. Taking on Alyx Wright. I almost said Alex Riley, but I caught myself. But Alyx Wright. Remember him? Some of you don't because he's before your time. But that's okay. Alyx Wright was very underrated too. I thought he was a really good wrestler. It's just, like a lot of people in WCW, he never got a chance to shine. That sucks. But whatever. Finley too was also a really good talent. Whatever. The match was, to be fair, it was not that memorable. It was kind of forgettable too. It wasn't terrible though. I'll say it was average. I'll give it a C. I'll be fair. C seems fair. Average match. Alyx Wright wins with a neck breaker. Whatever. Saturn took on Lodi, the last remnants of the Raven flock. This was after his feud with Raven, which, again, is awesome. Really awesome feud. He beats Lodi. Whatever. Moving on. We have... oh, this crap. Okay, so earlier on the night, Rick Steiner came out to do a promo with Mean Gene Okerlund. And Buff Bagwell, who is with the NWO, for some reason decides that he doesn't like the NWO no more. And now he wants to team up with Rick Steiner. And Stevie Wonder could see this coming from a mile away. You already knew he was going to turn on him. And so I'm just like, let me guess. He turns on him, right? Well, they get to the match, and what ends up happening? Buff Bagwell turns on Rick Steiner. Shocker! Did he even question? Well, he did, I guess. He questioned it. He was just like, I don't trust you. But then he just trusted him, and then he got bit in the butt. So the tag match turned into a handicap match. Giant and Rick Steiner. No, Giant and Scott Steiner, excuse me. Scott Steiner taking on Rick Steiner. And Rick Steiner somehow won, which I will admit, that bulldog on the Giant, who is the Big Show, was actually pretty cool. I do like the finish. The match itself, eh. And then they did the Scott Steiner versus Rick Steiner match afterwards, which was, eh. Ugh. It was a match we've been waiting for to see, and I would believe it, but that match was bad. Ugh. I don't even think I can call it a match. It just happened. I don't know what that was. It was horrible. Again, if the main event didn't exist, this would be one of the worst pay-per-views I ever saw. Sad part is, that's not the worst match of the night. That's still to come. We got Scott Hall versus Kevin Nash. So, the storyline for this match is that Scott Hall is facing alcoholic issues. He's an alcoholic. He's alcoholism beaten. You know, he's been worn down by his alcohol issues. He can't focus. He's not the Scott Hall that he used to be. And Kevin Nash's friend has been trying to help him, and Scott Hall just continues to push him away, which leads to this feud here. And you know what? I like that. I like it. I think that's a strong story to have. There is history between them. And that could have led to a really strong feud, a really strong match. What we got? It wasn't... I didn't hate it. I like the story of it. I do like seeing Kevin Nash get in there and refuse to beat up Scott Hall. Basically saying, I'm not going to hit my best friend. I'm not. And Scott Hall is just beating him down, beating him down, beating him down. And then Kevin Nash has enough and fights back and basically powerbombs his ass straight to hell. Twice. And then he walks away. Because he refuses to... I don't know. Refuses to win. I guess the story they were trying to tell is it's not worth it. You know, Kevin Nash didn't think it was worth it being his best friend, or it wasn't worth his time at all. He's not worth his time anymore. He didn't matter to him, so he just walked out. I guess that works, I suppose. I don't know. I just kind of feel like, why didn't you just pin him? You know, even as a kid, I was 8 when I saw this. And I'm just like, just pin him. Just put your foot on him. A win's a win. You didn't have to walk out. I don't know. Maybe the match they wanted to have was more of a street fight instead of a regular match. If this was a street fight or a last man standing match, it would be better. It would have actually fit the story a lot more. But it was a regular match, so I don't know. Scott Hall wins via countout. It was weird. Like, he shouldn't have won, but he did. Whatever. Okay. Bret Hart versus Sting. Okay, this was a good match. I did like Bret Hart versus Sting. I thought this match had some good back and forth. We had two talent that knew what they were doing inside the ring. It's the Scorpion Deathlock versus the Sharpshooter. Essentially the same move. Who had the better submission move? Bret Hart ends up beating Sting by KO, which, nice. I actually thought that was cool. There was a spot in the match where Sting was hung up on the turnbuckle and Bret Hart beat him down with his bat, which was made of foam, by the way. Bret Hart talked about that in his book. He beat Sting down with a bat made of foam. Interestingly funny. But Bret Hart wins KO and retains his United States Championship. Okay, I've been putting this off long enough. Let's talk about this piece of crap match. It's Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior 2. What else is there to say besides it was painful. It was awful. It was garbage. There was a spot in the match where Hulk Hogan tried to do one of those artificial fireballs where you light a piece of paper on fire and then you throw it at the wrestler. Well, Hogan tried to light it and then it blew up too fast and it burned off his eyelashes and it was horrible. It was horrible. From that point forward, the match just tanked. They tried to make it work. It didn't. It didn't. It was like watching two old men who couldn't even cognitively understand what was going on. They were just swinging and hitting whatever. It was slow. It was draggy. I might as well be watching paint dry. And to top off this horrible freaking match, some bald guy, forgot his name, don't even ask me what it was, he interferes after Hogan beat him up like the previous episode of WCW's Nitro. And then he comes and helps him beat Warrior in the most cheap, retarded way I've ever seen. Oh my god, it was bad. I can't even describe the pain I'm feeling, or I felt, watching that match. I swear to God, if this was the last match I saw on this pay-per-view, and I did not see the main event, I would have easily called it the worst show ever. Ever. And this is coming from someone who hasn't seen, what was that? No, I have seen, Legends, you know what I'm talking about. The Heroes of Wrestling, not Legends of Wrestling, excuse me. Heroes of Wrestling. I have seen that show. I'm not watching it again. You can't make me. But horrible match. Hogan wins. He got his win back, brother. Brother. The main event was amazing. Goldberg versus DDP. In my opinion, Goldberg's best match. Period. Absolutely fantastic match. I am definitely a proponent of Goldberg's undefeated streak. I am someone that feels like it should not have ended the way it did. And I feel like if there was ever going to be someone that ended the streak, if it had to come to an end, they should have just had DDP do it. Seriously. I feel like DDP would have been a great person to give that streak to. I wouldn't have been mad at that at all. But we gave it to Kevin Nash because I don't even know why they gave it to him. What for? That was so dumb. Like, if you were going to end the streak, why not end it in this match? I would have been happy to see DDP beat Goldberg. No issues at all. But whatever. It is what it is. DDP basically carried... I wouldn't even say he carried Goldberg. Goldberg is very underrated inside the ring. People don't give him enough credit. But I do think DDP had a lot to do with this match being as great or as awesome as it was. Because he was the brains behind the structure and the way it was leading up to the jackhammer at the end. It's just a lot of good stuff. I loved Goldberg selling the knee. That was really cool. We don't see a lot of Goldberg selling. Period. So to see him actually selling in the match was very refreshing. And then that counter to the jackhammer into the diamond cutter was beautiful. It was amazing. So that was good. The ending to the show was well worth the price of admission alone. But outside of that, this show was not good. I would not recommend you sit through it. Just pick out the main event. Watch Raven and Chris Jericho. If you want to watch Who We Two, then just go Inferno. If you also want to check out Nash and Scott Hall, I wouldn't be pissed off at you either. But don't sit through the whole show. It's not that good. With that said, that's just my opinion. How do you feel about this show? How do you feel about Halloween Havoc 1998? I might go ahead and do 1997 for the hell of it. Just let me know if you'd be interested in watching it. I'm out of here. This is your boy, Deluxe Man, signing off right here in your boy Deluxe Man's world. Catch you in my next video. Peace.